We heard from Kim a couple days ago, and Kim and I are like, we are spirit animals when it comes to the kitchen. We hate the kitchen. We hate to cook. Like, our biggest roadblock with this journey originally was, can I do this with the palate of a 3-year-old? Arielle is the polar opposite of that. And my favorite conversation, it's actually in the caption for this video, was, and I won't tell her, I'll let her tell her story, but the short version is, she found me through Meredith. She saw Meredith's before and after pictures. And I vividly remember our first conversation, almost word for word. You were like, Rachel, I've seen Meredith's pictures. I know this works. I don't doubt that the process works. I don't believe it'll work for me. I was like, tell me more about that. And you told me, I lived in Italy. I lived in France. I love good cheese. I love wine. I love baking. And you flat out said to me, I refuse to give them up. And that was the best answer I've ever heard now, because I think my response was, good, do not give them up. Yes. We're going to learn to make this work. And yes. Here we are. So first of all, welcome. It's so good to have you back. It's been way too long. To be here. So we're going to start with the same question I've been asking all week, because this is just so fascinating to me. When you think back to 2020, height of like COVID just kicking off, you saw Meredith's before and after pictures. The thoughts were in your head about, am I going to have to give up these foods? If you have to think of Arielle back then, whether it's how you were feeling in your skin, your relationship with food, what your life looked like, whatever that was, if you had to describe it in one word, what would that word be?
It's tough to find one word. I would say probably I was fatigued.
Oh, good one. That's a good word. That's so much better than tired. Fatigued has like this weight behind it.
I feel like tired implies sleepy, and fatigued is like, I've just been spinning my wheels. And I think a lot of people have been using that image. Yeah. And it's just true, because so much of the diet industrial complex is about giving you these solutions that don't serve you long term. And they give you this fantasy of like, if you do this program, by the end, everything about your whole personality will change, and then it will work forever. But what was so wonderful about your program, and what still works for me, is that you were like, we're actually going to make the program work based on your basest human instincts. And that like totally spoke to me, because I think that personally, I love food, I love good living, and I feel like to lose that is losing something really beautiful about the human experience. Yes. So I really appreciate that you were all about like, let's fit the program around that. And over time, little habit changes happen. But it's not about like, change everything about yourself. You're not allowed to like the stuff you like anymore. And ta-da, now you're left to the world. Good luck.
Let's force this square peg in a round hole, exactly. No matter what, and expect it to last for life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Dory said this is why she loves your story, because cooking is her therapy. Yeah, 100. If you are someone who loves to cook, who loves to bake, you buckle in for this one, because this is going to hit so hard.
Oh, you're Brandon, really overselling it. Thank you.
It's true. And what I love about what you just said is that you said, I love good living, because when I tell your story, I tend to focus on, the wine, the cheese, the baking, but it's bigger than that, right? You just came back from a gorgeous vacation. If you don't know, Arielle's a photographer. So even just her Instagram stories taken from her iPhone are magical. It is art, but it is good living, right? Part of this goes into travel. If you're someone who loves to go to Italy and eat nothing but cheese, bread, and pasta for a few weeks, in what universe are you going to put on your horse blinders and say, well, I'm never going to Italy again, because that doesn't fit in the diet program that I'm trying to force myself into?
Yeah, I mean, we all know those people who have done some very restrictive program for a number of months, years, but then they get to a point where like life happens and you can't, you don't want to go, unless you have a medical reason not to, you don't want to go your whole life never tasting a croissant again,
By the way, everyone at Ignite loves how Arielle pronounces food, because it's the correct way.
I'm the worst. I'm so sorry.
They're the best. I love it. We all love it. Joe says I love to travel. Yeah. And that is one of, we have whole trainings in the Ignite portal about how to do this when traveling. And one of the things that shocks people when they go through Ignite, and I know you and I had this conversation many times, is when you get to a certain point of this, the coach's orders are, you better not be thinking about macros when you're in France, right?
Exactly.
If you're with your husband or your kids or both in France and you are sitting there tracking your food, like, you are doing travel wrong.
Exactly.
And the point is to have this skill locked in to where there's no shame, guilt, rumination while you're doing it. You just come back and get back on. So can you talk to that a little bit about, I guess, the trust factor of the longer you did this?
So amazing. And I have to say, that's one of the things that I'm just so grateful for. And I was telling my sister-in-law this morning, that just the trust factor. I feel like, I think this depends kind of when you grew up, but, I was born in the very early 80s, we'll say. And I feel like most women who grew up in America at that time, we all have such a messed up relationship with food. And what's so beautiful about this program is just the trust it gives me in making these decisions, and knowing that if I decide to eat something, I didn't ruin anything, that like the all or nothing mentality is totally gone. And it just really serves it's such a beautiful thing to know that it's very empowering to know that the decisions that I make, I'm not disappointing anyone. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not messing. I was always a very good student. I want to be a good student. I want to do everything correctly. But like, the worst thing to do for a person like that is give them a really restrictive diet. Like, that's just going to end up in tears. And for me, I was just in France. The place we stayed, the food was insane. And, every day they come out with a sweet and a savory homemade breakfast. And then there's, in addition to that, like a basket of pastries from the local patisserie. And so you're like, okay, I will have this, literally the best thing I ever ate in my life might have been this like tiramisu they made, but the bottom was cookie butter, cookie butter.
I screenshotted that and sent that to Simone when you posted
I'll send you the
it.
recipe. So easy. I made it the other night. It's like cookie butter, the mascarpone cream, fruit, like we use cherries, and then like crumbled Biscoff cookies. I'm not gonna not eat that because, like, this is the best. But then at the same time, like, when I got home, I wasn't like, oh my God, I must have put on so much weight. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the way that I eat. And there was just never an issue about it. And that's been so freeing. And that's actually something that when I started the program, I didn't have faith that I'd get to that point. And there's definitely been moments along the last 2.5 years where sometimes I'll, for me, the scale has always been something, as you know very well, I think that at this point, I'm comfortable with the fact that the scale is not my friend. I'm a little bit too attached to the number. I know that there's a lot of people that have been able to totally let go of that. For me, it holds a little bit too much weight, no pun intended. Yeah. So I try not to weigh myself too much, because I'm at a point now where I realize that like body image is totally separate from the number. I can feel great about myself and be like, I am so hot. And then I go to the scale and it's like not the number that I want to see. And it makes me feel badly about myself. So I'm not going to subject myself to that. I know that the program works. I know that I feel good. I know that, that I'm feeding myself and treating myself well. So that's one of the things that. Did I even answer your question? I don't know. I'm just talking about recipes.
Oh no, you answered it. I mean, if you had not eaten that dessert, having seen a picture of it, I would have flown there and grabbed it out of your hand.
It was just part of breakfast. That's not even dessert. It was just breakfast.
I saw that picture. Simone loves tiramisu, so I screenshot it and I was like, look at what she's eating right now.
I'll send you a recipe. It's so easy. Yeah. That's another thing. I just want to say that I don't know that, like, I'm not a person that likes fake food. I don't like protein powders. I don't like bars. I don't like diet foods. I don't like fake sweeteners. I'm really picky. I'm a totally obnoxious foodie. And I still was able to make this program work in a way that's very comfortable for me and very doable. And I still eat a really beautiful dessert every day. For me, the thing that works best for me, I can stick to a plan. I can stick to this way of life because the way that I plan my meals is so that I feel like I'm really indulging every meal. Like everything that I make, even if it's a thing that's a so-called a healthy thing. Like when I make a salad, you're gonna feel like indulgent. I need to feel indulgent in my food. That's my personality. I think my mom was like very a person that didn't treat herself. Now we're in my therapy session.
Yes. So you went the polar opposite. Keep going.
I'm like a little bit too hedonistic. I love my pleasures in my life. So yeah, and for me, like if I know in a day that I'm gonna get to have a beautiful real tiramisu, it's not a fake tiramisu. This is not a Greek yogurt tiramisu, which I'm,
Right.
you know, no shame on those things. They're wonderful. They have their place, but like that's just not me. And I'm still able to get enough protein, not using those other things. So
I have to tell you that every time we talk, I feel inspired for two reasons. One, I'm like, Rachel, get your act together. Like, stop eating like the same foods every day and just like doing what you have to do to get food in your body. And two, it's, we've talked a lot this week about really niching down, like the fact that we've started to, I mean, you were in Ignite when it was just me. Now we have this whole team of coaches, and we've done that for a specific reason, which obviously the growth of the company, I could not handle it myself, but bigger than that is we need to see people's stories reflected in us, right? Like,
exactly, yes.
you do such a beautiful job of that. Someone who's super into baking and fine foods and luxury when it comes to food, they don't want to hear this from me. They're like, shut the hell up. I've seen you put.
They're like, I've seen you just eat dried fruit to hit your carbs.
Right.
It's not resonating for me.
But hearing from you, like if I'm going to make even a salad, like it's going to be this thing of luxury and indulgence, like that gives me hope. And I don't even eat that way. But it's like, you know what? If I ever hire, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I'd never do it. But if I ever hired a chef, I can eat that well and still do this. It's going to resonate with so many people who are on that end of the food spectrum. Dory said to post, oh yeah, this is exactly where I wanted to take this conversation. Thanks, Dory. Dory said, post your recipe for tiramisu and your lava cake.
Oh, my lava cake.
Your lava cake.
Yeah, I will.
This is Arielle's claim to fame in the Ignite family.
Yeah, so during the entire lockdown, every single day I made a real chocolate lava cake, like a beautiful chocolate lava cake, not a protein powder chocolate lava cake, a real chocolate lava cake every day. My husband and I split one every day for dessert, and it's so decadent. It's basically chocolate butter. Like, let's be real, it's chocolate butter. And oh, they're gorgeous. I haven't made them in a while because it's been so hot, but I'm feeling like as soon as the weather cools off, I'll get back into my chocolate lava cake phase. And it was just so good that every night we were like, should we do, I think we should. Yeah.
We still had the conversation every night, but it was always a yes.
I was like, is there anything better than this? I don't know. So yeah, so that, and I still was hitting my macros. And let me just say, like on those days when I was eating the lava cake, that wasn't the only pleasurable thing in my day. It wasn't like the rest of my day was like protein shakes and egg whites. Like I was eating really well, beautiful food. And yeah, I mean, for me, I find that it's helpful because I like to have those indulgent things. I do have to play the Tetris a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to have a wine, a cheese course, a lava cake, and a steak frite all at the same meal if I want to eat other food that day, which I do. I'm not a person that likes to restrict. So some, but then again, like if I'm on vacation or if it's my birthday or something, I will, and I don't feel badly about it because I know that the next day I just go back to the normal Tetris, and it all works out.
Yeah, I'm super curious. We've never actually talked about this before, so I don't know the answer. Lisa says, "OMG, I feel this in my soul." So you got some foodies on here.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference? You were talking about when you travel that there's no shame, guilt, regret, rumination. It's just like, cool. Of course, I'm not going to track when I'm in France, and now I'm home, and now I'm going to go back to it. Yeah. Does that feel different than in the past? Like, can you remember traveling in the past? What did it feel like in the past when you were traveling?
That's a great question. I think it was always really heavy. It was always really stressful because you want to enjoy those things. I mean, it was especially bad when I was trying to, for a couple of years, I was doing like a low carb thing. I think am I allowed to mention other plans? I don't want you to get sued. Anyway, but there's a book, it was called Malways Mungry. It was like a low carb plan. Yeah. And it required an avoidance of most bread products for a long time. And as a person that like literally loves to make bread and have that stuff, it was really hard. And then when you're traveling, there's nothing worse than trying to indulge, but then feeling like you're being bad. And so it's, that was a huge thing. And I can remember years past coming back and, just going through a shame spiral for 5 days while I decide that I need to like go on a juice fast that doesn't work. And then I binge and gain more weight. And one other thing that I want to just point out is that because this is not a restriction based program, when I'm on vacation, I actually don't go as crazy as I would before, right? Which is interesting because I know now, like I used to be the person who I couldn't keep certain foods in the house because I would just restrict, and then I go crazy on them, you know? And like, for example, one thing that I could never have in the house was Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream. That dish is amazing. And I could not have it in the house. But actually yesterday I made a dessert at the end of the day, fit my macros. It was like everyone got a half a peach that was baked, and inside of the peach was butter and brown sugar and some of those Biscoff cookies on top, and then we put a little bit of ice cream on top. It was so beautiful. But I was like, oh, do we have ice cream in the house? I guess so. And then I looked and I'm like, oh yeah, there's that giant thing of Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream that I bought like 6 months ago. That is that even still good? Like now I can have it, and I know that when I have it, it's not the last time. I'm not being bad, and I can have it as, you know, if it's my macros, and I can decide like today, am I going to hit my macros? And maybe I'm going to have a little bit less today. You know, do I want something else more? It's all feels very, I don't know, just very mentally healthy. The mindset work is really effective in that sense.
Yeah. And I think this is true of weekends too, right? Like so many people come in here and say, I do so well during the week and I go nuts on the weekends. And of course you do, because we're saving everything for the weekends, right?
Totally
like
restricting. Yeah.
I can't have ice cream. I can't have ice cream. So on the weekend, we don't just have a bowl of ice cream. We eat
I literally eat dessert every single day, at least once.
That's what I love about one of the many things I love about you.
I definitely do. I mean, there are certain things, you know, it's about making choices, you know, and so sometimes I, as I said earlier, I might not have dessert and 2 glasses of rosé the same day.
Yeah.
Gotta fit those macros. And I really appreciate that there's never been a like, there's no like, oh, that's a bad food, limit that. It's like, if it fits your macros, have as much of it as you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Leanne had a great line. She said, it's about managing, not restricting.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfectly put.
I wrote that down when she said that. I'm like, I love that line. That's exactly.
I think it makes a huge difference. And it just brings back, the truth is it brings back the enjoyment of the food because you don't have that emotional weight to it. And so like, you know, when we were in France, there were, you know, it was, you know, like, there used to be a time where if I was going to eat it, I would eat every last bite and I'd be looking at the things and I'd be so sad it was done. And then I'd feel like, you know, crap afterwards because I broke the code of whatever diet I was following. But now it's like, I know that I'm going to eat other awesome stuff on this trip. So if I'm not like super into it, I'm not going to just force myself to eat more of it because it's something I'm not allowed to eat. And I'm trying to like hide the evidence or something. Like, yeah, it just felt much more healthy emotionally, which is a huge thing. And I feel like until you and I started working together, my whole life had been this push pull between like trying to be good and trying to be the, you know, and just my nature, which has always been a person that's like very pleasure driven. And I think most people are.
Yeah. Yeah. We are pleasure seeking creatures. Yeah. And it's so true. If you're having dessert Monday through Friday, why would you go overboard Saturday, Sunday? You've been eating it all week anyway. Yeah. So it just organically gets you out of that all in, all out mindset.
Yeah, totally. And I find that I'm most successful when I'm the most indulgent in the sense that like, if there are times where I'm like, oh, and I know some people can like save calories for the weekend and, you know, that works for them. That's when I do start to, I have very high, no, I have very low tolerance for restriction. So yeah. I now know myself.
I'm with you. Willpower is not my forte.
Yeah, it's not even real.
No, you know, yeah, it's true. It's exhaustible either way. This has been an interesting theme. That's Dory says, me too, Arielle, hashtag twinning on dessert. I love it. And Joe's so looking forward to having the freedom to choose and not feel guilty. Yes, yeah. That is huge. The release of guilt is, you can't even put it into words until you live how extreme that is and how it shows up in other areas.
And just like how much I feel like someone else was saying this too, like how much mental energy we're carrying around thinking about food.
Yes.
And our feelings about food. Like I love to think about food in terms of like, what beautiful thing am I going to make? Yeah. You know, I love that. And I love thinking about food in a positive sense, but like it used to just take up so much time just being stressed out about, I know about that. Just the, like, if I look back at my life and I think about getting all the time back that I wasted thinking about like losing weight and food, I would be president. You know, I would be so much more effective.
It's true, because there is a difference between planning, between learning a skill, between strategizing and ruminating.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And that's the thing we hear a lot when people are like, I already think about food all day. Every day, isn't tracking just going to make me more obsessive? It's like, no, what you're doing right now is not thinking about it. You're ruminating on it. You're shaming, guilting, shoulding, and planning, strategizing, learning a skill. That's how we release literally all of that. It's just not a part of our vocabulary anymore.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you started, this was an interesting conversation that both Kim and I think Meredith brought up. When you started, did you go into this like, cool, well, I'm not going to change a thing. I'm going to eat how I eat and just fit it in? Or were you like, holy crap, what do I eat? Do I have to start changing my foods, until you built the trust that you could eat the foods that you wanted? And there's no right, wrong to this. I'm just curious.
Really good question. I'm trying to think about that.
Yeah. Because Kim was
I think
talking about her
yeah.
3-year-old palate, like mine, that she was like, no, I'm going to eat the way I eat and I'm going to learn how to budget it. And it's interesting how everyone learns the skill differently.
I think that I was more like that, but then there were certain times where it was like I would, for me, it was always really helpful to pre-plan, and I'm flexible with it, but like it's helpful to pre-plan, just so I could get a sense of what I would want to do with the day. And so sometimes I would find like, oh, you know what, I don't think I want to use all my fats on my full fat Greek yogurt today. Today is going to be a half full fat, half non-fat Greek yogurt day. Or like maybe for breakfast, I'm going to, you know, I want to save some of those for, you know, things for later. So in that sense, I would always start from a place of like, this is how my dream day. And then it was
I love
like,
that.
what do we have to tweak?
Yeah.
So that I don't feel restricted. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the acceptance of the nature, and I think it's so interesting that it works for a person who does have a self-proclaimed 3-year-old palate, or a person that doesn't want to do any kind of meal planning, like for meal prep, right? So it's like you really can you really can make it work depending on your personality, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, and the conversation of anchor meals and pre-planning has come up a lot this week, because for someone like you or Meredith, and you have like those meals, like your go-to meals. Meredith has like one, you have every meal. It's like the extravagance. So yeah, for that, if you want to fit that in, that's going to take a little more planning, and you know, it's a couple of minutes to make it work. For someone like me who's eating boring, like just get food in my body, whatever, you know, I might do an anchor meal for like some awesome dessert I want, but I'm just going to go on the fly and do it. And it doesn't matter, right? It's that square peg, round hole. Don't ask me to pre-plan, or I'm never going to stick with this. Yeah. For you, it's like, don't ask me to go on the fly, because I can't make the foods that I love work.
And don't give me like a pre-planned, like, this is what you have to eat in a day. You know what I mean? Like that's the also the day. Or like, here's some meals, eat these and you'll lose weight. Like that's not going to work for me.
Yeah. And I love your thing about a dream day. It makes me think of, if we were going to do an analogy for this, it's like, if you want to plan the dream date day for you with your husband, right? Like you could list out everything you want to do, and then you go back and look at it and it's like, cool, well, we literally have 24 hours in this day. So what's the most important? What can we strip down? Where can we filter out? Right. And it's not restriction. You're making a choice now. Like it literally, you don't have enough hours in the day for all of it. So what's the most important? And it sounds like that's kind of how you plan your day out.
100%. And it's like, some days it's like, I really want to have, like, I don't know, sometimes I'll think like, oh, I really want to make, what am I wanting to make lately? Or like, maybe I want to make that tiramisu again. But I also really want a rosé. And I know that we're going to have this, I'm making this salad lately that I'm obsessed with like peaches and goat cheese and pita chips and this beautiful lemony vinaigrette. It's like so yummy, but like, you know, it's a little bit more fatty with the vinaigrette than other things. So it's like, maybe I will do the tiramisu tomorrow when I'm having something that's like a little bit leaner. So it's like, I get everything. I don't get it all in the same meal, but I get it all. I get my dream day. I just break it up over 2 to 3 days.
Which Meredith had a good point yesterday. It gives you something to look forward to. It's like, oh, I get my tiramisu tomorrow.
And I'm not going to not have something today. Maybe tonight I'll have another of those like roasted peaches with the, you know, cookies and the brown sugar. Like I can't have a dessert that doesn't feel like an indulgence. Even that fruit dessert, I needed to feel like it was something fabulous.
It sounded fabulous. I'm about to move to Boston. Just this talk of hiring a chef. I think I found her.
Just hire me. I'll cook for
You
you.
can photograph our wedding and cook extravagant meals. I'm in. Love it. So we started the conversation talking about fatigue, that, you know, that's just a good visual and you can feel that spinning your circles and nothing's working. And I think for you, having heard your story, it's so apparent why. Like, you live a very specific kind of lifestyle that you love and you should live. So of course you never found a diet system that fit into that. That's not how diets work.
Yeah.
So now, wherever we're at, 2.5, 3 years later, you've got the skill, you've locked it in, you're a macro ninja. What would your word be?
I think that I have a pretty good word. I think vibrant. I think I have a really vibrant life. And I think of vibrant as a word that has, you know, vibrant, it has color, it has vibration, it has life. Like, I think vibrant is my word. I feel very, yeah, I think I have a great life.
I love that. Good. And to me, vibrant is energy. When I hear the word
Exactly.
vibrant,
Yeah, energy. It's the opposite of fatigue. So
it's polar opposite of fatigue.
yeah.
I love that. Are you okay with me tagging you in the comment
Sure.
box? Okay, so I'm going to tag Arielle. If you are someone who just this resonates, you're a big foodie, you like indulgent food, you love to bake, whatever, you love to travel. If you have a question that you just want to chat with Arielle about and just be like,
Please
hey,
feel free.
yeah,
I'm also happy. I'll put up 3 recipes. I'll put up the cookie butter tiramisu, I'll put up the lava cake, and I'll also put up, I have a fabulous recipe for a salad dressing that uses Greek yogurt instead of most of the oil. So like, when you need to have a lean dressing for your salad, you can still have a beautiful, yummy salad without using up all your fats. So that's my gift to you all.
Bonus today. Oh,
Yeah.
Mary's here. She does love this. Hi, Arielle.
Hi,
sweetheart. I'm going to be tagging Simone in the tiramisu comment, because
I'll tag
yeah, but that has happened. That is going to be in my mouth at some point.
Yeah, totally soon. It's amazing. It's so
oh man. Well, I mean it honestly. I mean, I'm watching the comment box. You'll go back and see it. Like, you have given hope to foodies everywhere.
It's possible. It's possible, ladies. It really is. And the truth is, I feel that a couple of my foodie friends have also gone through the program and have been very successful and are living their best lives. And I see them posting all sorts of yummy cheese plates and charcuterie trays. So it's possible.